So this question was posed on the internet. What if Andre the Giant was not available to wrestle Hulk Hogan in the main event of WrestleMania 3? This got my wheels turning, and I've come up with a scenario that I figured, hey, what the hell, let me just put this on the YouTube and see what people think about it. But let's preface this by saying this is a fantasy scenario, okay? I know this couldn't actually happen in real life, but this is supposed to be fun, something that wrestling fans keep forgetting they're supposed to be doing. And if you're one of those people that say, well, I watch wrestling all the time, it's not fun for me, watch something else. Real simple solution. Anyway, again, this is fantasy. This is not meant to be taken seriously. I'm not an influencer, a wrestling influencer. I'm not one of these people that gawks about it online, but have never done a damn thing. I wrestled on the independents, refereed, ring announced. I was a booker for several promotions, did all that stuff in my previous life. So I have a basic general understanding of what's going on. So I don't need any of your actually in the comments, okay? But let's have some fun here. That's what this is supposed to be. So let's get into this. WrestleMania 3, no Andre, what do we do? First thing that comes to mind is the venue. Now, right off the bat, you have to ask yourself, if they didn't have Andre versus Hogan in the main event, could they have sold as many tickets as they did or draw as big of a crowd as they did at the Silverdome?
Short answer, no.
Okay.
Probably not, no. So I think the idea of doing the Silverdome is kind of out the window at this point. But also, I don't think we should be downgrading the show to just a basic arena. This is WrestleMania, after all. And I looked around to see what kind of venues would be available at this time. And in scouring the landscape of the United States, I've settled on Giant Stadium. Giant Stadium had a capacity of around 75 to 80,000, somewhere in that range. I'm not saying this scenario would sell out that building. We all know the stories about what actually happened with WrestleMania 3. The magic number we all know as wrestling fans. And if you know the number I'm talking about, put it down in the comments. Even though people have gone on the internet and said, well, they actually sold this many and they papered the rest. Whatever. Wow, a wrestling promotion lied about their draw? That never happens.
What?
I think Giant Stadium is a good place to go because it's kind of a centralized location in the fact that it's close to New York City. We're close to a lot of media outlets, all different kinds of access we have to TV and news and stuff like that. And fans could be coming in from Jersey, New York City, Philly, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Boston, Upper New York, New England, into Canada, even coming up from the south and the west, and flying in internationally. It's not that far away from all the airport access they have right there. Giant Stadium, New Jersey, for WrestleMania 3 is going to be the venue. You have to consider the celebrity factor. I mean, this is a part of WrestleMania. It has been since the beginning. And being that we're in New Jersey, I started thinking, well, what about the scenario, the possibility of a special guest coming in to sing America the Beautiful? And who else but Bruce Springsteen? I mean, imagine that. Bruce Springsteen singing America the Beautiful at WrestleMania 3 at that time in 1987. That would have been huge. And another Jersey native that was really high on the charts at this time and had a lot of radio airplay, a lot of stuff on MTV, was this up-and-coming band called Bon Jovi. And their song, Livin' on a Prayer, was a big hit at the time. What if Bon Jovi sang Livin' on a Prayer during intermission at WrestleMania 3? Do you don't think that would have been huge? Again, fantasy world, but I think it makes sense. I think it would have been actually good. And of course, you could add in Bob Uecker, Mary Hart, the people that were actually part of WrestleMania 3. But adding those two factors, Bruce Springsteen and Bon Jovi to WrestleMania 3, Giant Stadium, New Jersey, I think that's a big plus right there. So now let's get into the heart of the matter, the card. But we're going to look at the undercard first. Now, in reality, there were 12 matches on this show.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
12 matches, I think, is a little too much still. Even WrestleMania 2 was 12 matches. It was 4 in 3 different areas. WrestleMania 1 was only 9 matches. I think we still need to cut it down. and we're going to do that. I'm keeping 5 matches from the original lineup. We're keeping Hercules versus Billy Jack Haynes, King Harley Race versus the Junkyard Dog. We're keeping Rowdy Roddy Piper versus Adrian Adonis, hair versus hair. We're keeping Honky Tonk Man versus Jake the Snake Roberts. And we're keeping Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage. I mean, that's kind of an obvious. You have to keep that match. All those matches had storylines going into them, whether they were major storylines or minor ones that they didn't spend a lot of time on TV. Still, they had backgrounds to them. The rest of the card, not necessarily. We're going to be focusing everybody. A good old-fashioned way to settle this problem when you got too many guys to put on the show, but you want to get them on anyway, have a good old-fashioned battle royal. So I would start off WrestleMania 3 with a battle royal. You'd have Orton, Morocco, the Killer Bees, Volkov, Sheik, Tito Santana, Dino, Valentine, Beefcake, all the guys that were in matches, Coco Beware, Butch Reed. But this was also the pay-per-view debut of a newcomer who had just come into the company a couple of weeks or a couple months previous, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I would have Duggan in the Battle Royal. This would be his big coming out party, and he would win the Battle Royal. But that also means we have the capability of changing some things around. And one scenario I'm definitely changing is that going into the actual WrestleMania 3, the Hart Foundation were the tag team champions because they did the heel turn of the jaded, referee Danny Davis, who screwed over the Bulldogs to put the belts on the Hart Foundation. I think we could still do that angle, but somewhere in the interim, put the belts back on the Bulldogs. And actually, you could have the Hart Foundation against a tag team that was coming up at that time in the WWE, WWF, the Can-Am Connection. If you gave those two tag teams like 10 minutes to go out to a solid tag match, it would really resonate with that audience. I mean, tag team wrestling was always a side thing. It was never a major priority of the company, but this would be a good chance to showcase that. But back to the Bulldogs, they would get the tag belts, and I would want them to defend them against, again, some relative new coming tag team that had just shown up a couple of months previous, Demolition. Axe and Smash against the Bulldogs at WrestleMania 3 for the tag team titles, and I would have Demolition going over to win the tag titles. Adding those two matches to the card, we have an 8-match undercard. But now we need to get to the real crux of the matter, the match that's supposed to sell the tickets for the show, the main event. So, looking at the landscape of the company at this time, there were not many options to put up against Hulk Hogan. There was King Kong Bundy, but Hogan already beat him at the WrestleMania previous. In this scenario, he's going to be in the Battle Royal, the opening of the show. Big John Studd was not really wrestling in the company at this point. And I know many people who have said, well, the obvious answer is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, and that's totally valid. That's a 100% valid point. That could be a good main event. However, they had done the big betrayal, Orndorff turning on Hogan in the match against Bundy and Studd, and I still remember watching that in real time as a kid. I beat the crap out of a pillow I was laying on when I watched that. I was so angry. But anyway, they had the long run after that turn with Hogan and Orndorff. They sold a lot of tickets for that feud. They kind of already did the blow-off, though, at the Saturday night's main event that was taped in December of 86, but broadcast in January of 87, where they both landed on the floor at the same time, restarted the match. Hogan won the cage match, kept the title. It was kind of like that was it. So I kind of think at that time, the Orndorff train had kind of run its course, and they didn't really have enough left in the tank to push it a couple of months more to WrestleMania 3. So the landscape, it looks like right now, if Andre the Giant's not available, kind of seems like we don't have someone. So we got to go outside the company. We got to go to someplace else. We're going to go down south because in the NWA, in Jim Crockett Promotions, there is a young, up-and-coming, hulking monster of a man that is making waves. He is physically intimidating, powerful, brutal in the ring, doesn't speak really much at all, and has, I think, the wow factor. If you put Hulk Hogan up against this guy just on a poster, it would look strong and it would sell tickets. So my pick to main event WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan versus Nikita Koloff, the Russian Nightmare. Think of the context of the time. It's 1987. The Cold War is still happening. And as many times art imitates life, this could be another sample of that. They've done this already. Hulk Hogan, like against Nikolai Volkov on Saturday night's main event, American-made, real American Hulk Hogan versus the foreign threat, the foreign menace that they loved doing back at that time. To have Hulk Hogan now against the Russian nightmare Nikita Koloff feeds right into that narrative. So it has that patriotic backing to it. The Cold War, the USA versus Russia, that whole thing could feed into it and I think help draw a huge crowd to come to Giant Stadium. I'm not saying that they would sell it out. I would say hopefully, trying to be realistic, 75 to 85% capacity, I think would still do good. Plus with the advent of adding Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi, all those local Jersey guys, we have all those capabilities to really get some butts in seats and sell tickets. But there's one more factor we can add to this. I'm always about, trying to see what's the next step. How can we make it bigger? In context of the time, 1987, if you have Nikita Koloff come up from Jim Crockett Promotions, he's probably going to have somebody with him. He's got to have a mouthpiece, someone who can talk, someone who can back him up if necessary, be a heater on the floor. Who better than his kayfabe uncle, Ivan Koloff? And there's ready-made history there because Ivan was the WWF champion at one point. So he's going to be in Nikita's corner. And they could have angles going on television leading up to this where, Nikita's got the sickle. He's taking guys out in seconds with the sickle. They could do a hard angle with Hogan where he gives Hogan the sickle and then Hogan gets propped back up, gives him another one, gives him one to the back of the head. Anything to do, and they could wrap up Hogan's neck, much like they did at WrestleMania 2 with the ribs. So there's a lot that could be done with that. And Nikita having Ivan in his corner would add to it. And that would mean that Hogan would probably need someone in his corner watching Nikita. And at this time, March of 87, there is someone that could have been tapped to go into that spot. Somebody that was a local hero, someone who knows Ivan Koloff, someone who was in the company at this time, even though in real life him and Vince were doing a lot of this. There is the possibility that this could happen in a wonderful, perfect fantasy scenario. Bruno Sammartino. Hulk Hogan with Bruno Sammartino in his corner versus Nikita Koloff with Ivan Koloff in his corner, the main event of WrestleMania 3. I think it would work. I think it would sell a lot of tickets, maybe not sell it out, but still it would do fantastic business. So that's it. That's my scenario. That's my thought process about what would happen if Andre the Giant was not available. It's a what-if scenario. It's fantasy, but I think it was fun to think about. So what did you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I would really like to get your thoughts on it. What is your scenario? Who would you put up against Hogan? Would you still stay with Paul Orndorff? Is there someone else in another company you would bring in? I would really like to hear that. So put it down in the comments, like, subscribe, do all that cool stuff, and I really appreciate your time sticking around with me, listening to this what-if Booker, guest Booker type scenario. Thanks for stopping by, my friends. Keep those horns high, and remember, wrestling fans, let's have some fun. Never stop playing.